I saved the whole sect by playing badly. Chapter 10. Don't sleep, she's going to sweat the wool. It was already 2 days later when Yi Qiao finished copying all the books. Zhu Yu and Ming Xuan had little to do with this matter. Manager Yu didn't make things difficult for them, and waved his hand to let them go. The only person left behind was Yi Qiao. Is it all copied? Copy it. She drooped her head, feeling her body was hollowed out. Guan Shiyu turned his eyes to take a look, and then the corners of his mouth twitched. He had to say that Yi Qiao's words could be described as unbelievable and appalling. But he didn't have to choose. He could only find a few disciples with good handwriting to copy again another day. He glanced at Yi Qiao. Come with me. Yi Qiao followed as he said, and Guan Shiyu followed the long revolving building all the way to the 3rd floor. The talisman books that had been messed up before were now neatly arranged. After he put the missing books on the bookshelf, he squatted down again. Lowering down, I don't know where to find a few fragments of scrolls. The yellowed paper looked fragile and flimsy. Elder Yu carefully picked up the scroll and said in a deep voice, "How about a favor? Little girl." Yi Qiao wittily didn't agree, but just said, "What's the help?" This kind of help seems really helpless to ordinary people. She doesn't want to cause unnecessary trouble. She might as well go to sleep if she has the time. Elder Yu was left speechless for a moment by her cautious attitude. He finally understood that this brat didn't play cards according to the routine at all. When other disciples heard this kind of thing, they hurriedly agreed, so why would they ask so many questions? These scrolls are left by the ancestor of our Changming sect for the younger generations to learn. He said, there are many ancient alchemy recipes recorded in it. Yi Qiao listened to his chatter, as if she was still remembering the glorious years of the elder Mingzong. She had to interrupt him. Then elder, what are you looking for me for? According to the usual time, I'm already asleep court. Elder Yu, who was interrupted again, glared at her displeasedly. Our patriarch is one of the few in the whole world of comprehension who is able to practice both ways of talisman and alchemy. The fragments left by him, if they are released casually, they will cause competition among monks from all walks of life. Yi Qiao. Oh. Elder Yu said, since you can write down the scrolls in the picture stone, then the ancient remnants shouldn't be a problem, right? Once this kind of ancient scroll is opened, it will disappear like a picture stone, but it also has the advantage that it can draw people into the scene when the ancestor was refining alchemy. But it should be noted that not everyone has Yi Qiao's good memory. If after reading it, you still don't remember how to make the pill seal and what elixir it contains, then a good ancient scroll will be wasted in vain. Yi Qiao, who was ordered in danger, had a black line on his forehead, and couldn't help reminding him, Elder, I am a human being, not a god. The ancient fragments, can she read the sea of consciousness completely so that she can't be squeezed dry? Yu Guanxi pondered for a moment. Then what do you mean? Reading is fine, but you have to pay extra. She said seriously, after all, my sleep time is precious. There are no spirit stones. When mentioning money, Elder Yu's face turned dark. Doesn't she know what's going on with Chang Mingzong? I'm so poor that I can't get rid of the pot, and I still need money. But I can give you a bottle of elixir. After thinking about it, considering that Yi Qiao was a rebellious person, he was also worried that she would give up her burden, so he reluctantly said. Even if he is the steward of Zangshu Pavilion and concurrently works as the steward of Dan Pavilion at Danfeng, he still has the right to purchase some elixir of the sect. Yi Qiao put away her smile and waved her hand. Forget it, I choose to be bad. She hates studying the most. Of course, if you give money, that's another story. Without money, why would she want a bottle of elixir? I'm going to sleep, the girl said and was about to go out. Wait. Seeing that she was about to leave, Guan Yu panicked, so he hastily added, 2 more bottles. Yi Qiao yawned. with a lazy expression on her face. Forget it, if I have the time, I'd better sleep again. Yu Guanxi gritted his teeth. Come back. Obviously, he gradually realized that without giving something of value, it was absolutely impossible for this little bastard to compromise easily. As long as you copy down these ancient books verbatim, you can choose the panacea from the medicine pavilion. This is already the biggest concession of the iron roosters of the Changming sect. Yi Qiao stepped back resolutely, and smiled brightly. Deal. Yu Guanxi. Inexplicably, there is an illusion of being tricked. None of them dared to open the ancient remnant scroll easily. This thing is very fragile. Once a cup of tea is opened, it will be reduced to ashes. Yi Qiao didn't have this worry anymore. She poked her consciousness in, opened her eyes again when the world was spinning, and the picture in front of her eyes gradually became strange. Looking at the furnishings around her, they were also from the library pavilion, but they were far less gorgeous than they are today. She approached and saw an old man making alchemy. The mouth is still rambling. Absinthe wormwood, Ningyu flowers. Hey, they are so poor that they can't get rid of the pot, and the dogs are starving to death and still want to make alchemy. He pinched his waist and sneered twice. Old man, I will go home and feed the pigs when I have money. Yi Qiao. I didn't expect that the ancestors of the Changming sect were quite thoughtful. To be honest, if it wasn't for the conditions, she would also like to go home and raise pigs. Although the old man was muttering, the movements in his hands didn't stop for a moment, congealing the pill, controlling the fire, and screening the spiritual plants all in one go. In the end, he made a complicated curse seal in his hand, and the golden floating pill seal floated into the pill furnace. After a cup of tea, the lid of the pill stove was lifted, and white hot air was boiling around, and the pill lying in the pill furnace. The pills are round and smooth, very gratifying. Yi Qiao sat cross-legged by the side, watched each other's alchemy step by step, and took care to note down the hand gestures of the curse seal, and then walked away. After reading this fragment, her mind was buzzing. Also a little nauseous. Yi Qiao came back to her senses, lowered her head and found that her nose was bleeding again. She wiped the blood silently, thought for a while, picked up a pen and copied up the alchemy formula. It is not difficult to memorize, and every time the alchemy is done, there will be a demonstration by a character. Just follow along like TV. It's much easier than endorsement. After a while, she said, it's finished. Key. Yi Qiao stretched out her hand to ask him for the key to Dan Pavilion. The girl's face was a little pale after being subjected to this, but she was still very energetic. Steward Yu threw her the key, probably because she was worried that she would die suddenly, and she had a conscience. I found a reminder. You should go to sleep after shopping. Yi Qiao ate a tonifying pill given by Zhu Yu, and walked out of Zangshu Pavilion slowly. Go to bed. Don't sleep anymore, she's going to pluck the wool. There are so many elixirs in the Danfeng that the eyes are dazzled. Although Yi Qiao has read a lot of fragments, she still doesn't know much about elixirs. But it doesn't matter, she doesn't understand Zhu Yu, so Yi Qiao excitedly ran to Zhu Yu's residence and knocked on the door. Senior brother 3. Let's go to Danfeng. The girl raised her head, her small face was slightly pale, and there was still blood on the tip of her nose. She wiped it again nonchalantly. Being bad doesn't mean she isn't making progress. If you fall behind, you will be beaten. The words of a great leader are appropriate at any time. Zhu Yu looked at her like a wandering soul, and the corners of her mouth twitched. What's this? Acting as a female ghost. What are you doing at Danfeng at night? Yi Qiao blinked a little embarrassedly. Guan Yu gave me the key to the medicine pavilion, and said that to thank me for copying the remaining scrolls for him, you can take any pills in the medicine pavilion. Zhu Yu raised his brows high, plucking the iron rooster, which is a rare thing. That's good. Senior brother will take you to pick it out. Kill him hard. Danshu is the most profitable profession, and there are definitely a lot of good things in Yuguanshi. After the brothers and sisters who got the key to the Dan pavilion rushed over, they only picked the expensive ones. This can replenish aura. This heals wounds. And this. The two of them were like the devil entering the village, picking out valuables and looting them. Chevron _ left previous home index next chevron _ right. Tap the screen to use advanced tools tip. You can use left and right keyboard keys to browse between chapters.